I learn about my story as I'm writing it. I've had the time to sit and kind of let everything I've written so far have a gestation period where it can work its magic and do whatever it does in the back of my brain. Hello, it's nice to meet you. My name is Emma Van Greken. I share stories about faith and cyclicality to shine a light on the wonder of the world and point it all back to God. I am sharing my author journey here as well, so if that is your thing, hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. My debut book, Seasons of Life, has been out for almost 1 year, and when I finished getting everything ready to publish this beautiful collection of poetry, short stories, and photography, I started working on Project Starfall Draft 2, but Seasons of Life is a very different book, and this is the first novel that I've actually gotten this deep into. I am really on track to finish Draft 2 of Project Starfall by December of this year, 2025. But that said, I got stuck at the beginning of the summer with this book, and it has taken a lot of time to learn how to plot things better. Where I'm at with the book right now is really important for setup for the rest of the book. So if I don't get that right now, I could create a plot hole later that would take a lot more time to fix. Then it'll just take me to figure out these details now. So there's been a lot of planning and plotting that I didn't expect, but I'm really glad I've learned. So I am going to take you on the journey of my past 2.5 months, clarifying what's actually going on in my book and building an organizational structure so that I can move forward in this draft in a really strong way, but also move forward with future drafts without making more work for myself than it's worth. So let's get into the video. I'm going to be working with a new software today, something called MILANOTE, which basically is like a digital notebook for writers. It acts kind of like a corkboard that you can tie the red thread between as if you are a crazy investigator, conspiracy theorist, but for your book or for your creative project. And this is something that is new to me, so I'm just going to be diving in, creating different boards, and giving myself a place to play with outline and structure in a way that isn't as restrictive as a notebook. Let's just get started. Boo. So it is about 1 week later, and here is what has happened. I opened up a document, started doing some world building, started writing down details about the characters, and this is also where I'm going to be keeping track of names of places as I'm writing them down, or trade agreements, and just little tiny details of the story that I know I need to keep track of. So I now have my Google document where I am writing the story, and I have my MILANOTE document where I am keeping track of all of the world building and the details along with the magic system and character backstories. Today I actually did write a paragraph so far. I'm gonna see if I can do a little bit more. I understand a lot more now about how the magic is gonna work. I've simplified some things. I've had the time to sit and kind of let everything I've written so far have a gestation period where it can work its magic and do whatever it does in the back of my brain. And so like I said, it's been about 1.5 weeks of this story not really moving. I haven't touched my document, but now I feel like I understand where the story is going again, and I think I will have a pretty decent word count this week. And I feel like I'm a lot clearer on how it's going to go now. Alright, I am 1 day older, 1 day wiser. I have been doing some world building, but I've also reached a point where I clarified what I needed to clarify. I've played with the ideas of the story a little bit more. I'm at the point now where I have to switch back out of plotting and I have to switch back into discovery writing, because at the end of the day, I am a discovery writer more than I am a plotter. I learn about my story as I'm writing it. So essentially draft 1 is just putting sand in a box. Hold on, my baby's getting frustrated. I come to get you. We're gonna be buddies now. The realities of being a mom and creator. Now I've reached the point where all the sand is in the box. Now I'm taking the sand that I have in the box and I'm putting it into bricks. Draft 3, I imagine, will be building the actual sandcastle. Another thing I want to chat about today is the idea of perfectionism. You are gonna look back at something you create today that you think is perfect today, and 3 years later, when you look back at it, you're gonna think you could have done so much better because you won't have learned so much in the process of creating that thing and moving forward from creating that thing. If you create something today with integrity in your whole heart and you stand behind it, you can have full confidence that that is going to help you learn more about your craft and more about yourself as an artist so that you can move forward. And then yes, you do want to look back a few years from now and say, that's imperfect. Of course, if you have perfectionism, you care about what it is that you're creating. But do you care because you know that what you're about to create is disintegral and it's going to be embarrassingly imperfect? Or do you care so much because you know it's so integral to you that you want it to be good quality and represent what you are capable of? But anyways, we are having a pretty decent morning today. We're getting very chatty, so I think we're gonna read some storybooks and then maybe take a little baby nap and finish this cup of coffee before we get into some more writing. So it is currently 6:26 in the morning. I've been up since about 5:30, flipping and flopping back and forth because that's when my baby was up. Right now, I'm not tired and everyone else is asleep. So I have the whole world to myself. I'm going to write for about an hour by myself before anyone's up. Hopefully, I'm going to sit down with my cup of coffee and then hopefully have some more writing time throughout the day today. Okay, so I'm going to blur things out as I need to here because I don't want to share all of the details, but this is my MILANOTE board where I keep track of absolutely everything. So after my story got stuck at the beginning of July, I took about 3 weeks to take everything that it was that I was confused about and dump it into this board. The first thing that I want to share here that I think has been really fun to see is my writing sessions. So if you look at the dates here, I average probably 3 days, maybe 3.5 days of the week of writing, so I'm not even writing every single day. I'm a big fan of consistency instead of constantly working at something. I think that there's a big difference between those two things. Consistency is you are plugging away at something as often as you can with the intention of making progress. It doesn't have to be perfect. Working constantly at something is you can never put it down. With the synopsis, I have basically what you would read on the back of the book if you were to find my book in a bookstore so that I can remember what the main plot and the promise are. Now I'm going to run you through a little bit more of these structural detail boards because these are really fun. Characters in order of appearance is pretty obvious. Every time a character is mentioned, I put a picture of how I think they look next to some details about their character traits, their faults, their strengths, and what their goal in the story is, so that I know at any given moment what a character is after and how that might conflict with someone else. Inventory of magical powers is me making sure I know what certain people can do in the story and what the magic of the world looks like and where that magic comes from. Everything about the magic system is essentially the same thing, but these are more about the rules, whereas the inventory of magical powers are more like what people can do with those rules. This one is really cool. This is the main religion in the realm. So I have the creation myth, the foundational story behind everything, some really fun pictures over here of sacred trees that they've got, and just a vision board of the religion itself. There are certain rites that they perform. They're kind of like prayers. Every time I reference something in the story, I put it into my MILANOTE document as well to make sure that I'm not losing it, to make sure that I can reference it multiple times through the story, to make sure when I do the next draft, all of this information is organized and simple for me. And then the conflicting religion is here. I honestly haven't gotten to that one yet because that's just not where I am in the plot, but the story is a religious and political character-driven fantasy, so I'm getting to that point and it's going to be really exciting. History and alliances. This board has changed my life. Along with the magic system, I think history and alliances is the biggest, most important one. This one is so good because, like I said, politics drives the story a lot. So every time I mention a trade agreement, every time I mention a treaty or a political marriage, I mention that here so that I actually know what's going on and I can keep track of it. The other most important board that I have besides history and alliances or everything about the magic system is the chapter breakdown of what we know and who knows what. Because there are so many secrets in the story and there are different POVs that I use to focalize the story through, it's important for me as the author to know what does this character know versus what does the reader know. The reader might not know something, but because a character knows a secret at the time of this scene, they're going to act a certain way around other characters. So this is so helpful for managing how I'm giving away information. What this is also doing is by the time my book is done, draft 2, this acts as my reverse outline. It is a complete breakdown of every small detail that happens in my story. And exploring, brain dumping, and plotting is really nice here. So chapter plotting, this is basically my digital notebook where I brain dump what I'm thinking could happen next. This is also where I keep track of things that I want to improve upon in draft 3 to make sure that when I go in and I start actually fiddling with things, I am improving them. I'm not just editing for the sake of editing. So I keep details here when I realize, oh, I should add foreshadowing in this spot because it connects now to this chapter that's 20 pages later. So that is the full breakdown of the Project Starfall MILANOTE board. This isn't even a sponsored video, I just love MILANOTE. So if you want to try it out for your own creative project, there is a link in the description below. I've taken this past week off of writing because I put in a lot of work, to be totally honest, and I just need a bit of a break. My goal over the next couple of days before I try and get back into my 3,000 words a week full-fledged is to just map out a couple things for the next few chapters and make sure that as I'm going ahead, I have a roadmap. I'm at a really exciting part where there's about to be a lot of action, there's about to be a lot of movement. The characters are now traveling around the world in a way that they haven't been so far, so it's really exciting, and I'm getting to play with the characters in a new way. And I'm noticing such a difference between draft 1 and draft 2. The plot is really coming together. I'm starting to understand so much more about this book, and I feel like by the time I get to draft 3 at the beginning of 2026, I'll need just a nice big polish of everything to fill in the little gaps that I have between details, make some things a little bit richer, and then go back and give it a once-over for spelling, grammar, punctuation, all of that stuff, and then we will be good and done with this book by the end of 2026. That is still my goal. So where am I now in Project Starfall Draft 2 now that I've done all of this organizational work and all of this writing to get myself out of a funk? I am now sitting at 70,000 words for this draft. We're on pace to finish Project Starfall Draft 2 by December 31st, 2025, as long as I average 3,200 words every single week. I am scraping by that right now, just getting to that total every single week. So the pressure is on. I can reach my deadline if I keep going at the pace that I'm going at, but I also know that with the holiday season coming up, it is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. That said, I'm not a fan of setting goals and thinking, if I don't achieve it, that's okay. I'm obviously compassionate with myself and I understand that life happens. I have decided to get this draft done by the end of the year. So no matter what happens, I am going to find a way to make that happen, and I'm going to keep you posted about the entire journey along the way. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel reach more people like you who are creatives following their calling. And that's everything I've got for you today. So I will see you in the next video.